Hey everyone, welcome to the Naughty Shaman podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Carlisle, and I can't wait to dive in to a world where the sacred meets the wild and keeps things totally real. In each episode, we are going to dive into what it truly means to live a radiant life that is unapologetically real. And if you're ready to get started, so am I. Hey everybody, this is Natalie, and I'm super excited to talk with you tonight because I am on fire in a super creative mode, and it's got me thinking about how can you step into your full badassery around creativeness. You know, we are creators. We are here to make stuff happen. And I've been doing a lot of thinking over the years about how this works. And I'm absolutely enamored with all of the theories in spiritual texts around the masculine and feminine polarities. And as you know, many of you, that we, all of us, man, woman, anywhere in between, any gender identification, it's all irrelevant. There are these masculine and feminine polarities of energy at work inside of us. You can find it in yogic texts like the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita. Even in Patanjali Sutras, they'll talk about, the Ida and Pingala, the nadis that run up the spine. In Kundalini Yoga, there's a black serpent and a white serpent, one masculine, one feminine, coiled at the base of the spine. In shamanic cultures, there's a golden thread of sun, the masculine energy, woven around the silver thread of moonlight, the feminine. And sun and moon is also hatha yoga, is about yoking or bringing together the union of the sun and the moon, the masculine and the feminine. And even in Christian texts, you find Adam, Eve together, garden. You'll find even God the Father, and also, and this is my little personal theory, the Mary in the Bible. There's really only one Mary. Now, in the story, she's split into two, Mary of Magdala, the wild one, whore even, and Mary, the virgin. But if you bring those two Marys together, you have a reemergence and a presence of the goddess, although she is hidden in the texts. So even in Christian mythology, you have the goddess and the god. It's everywhere. Light and dark, dark matter, light. It's everywhere in science. It's everywhere in spiritual texts. So these masculine and feminine polarities, when they are yoked or brought into union with one another, some wild stuff can go down. Think of even our own biology. You get some sperm, you get an egg, you get crazy stuff happening. Spines start developing, 10 fingers, 10 toes. That's an absolute creative process that's in our hands, and it's an incredible thing. But it's also a metaphor for how we can create the life that we want, the projects that we want, the book that we want, the love that we want, the house that we want. We're here to create. We're here to create with bounty and abundance. And so there's been a lot of talk about the hero's journey that we all have to go on. In the hero, it was Joseph Campbell really made this popular back in the day. I think he was interviewed by Moyers. I remember that, watching that interview again and again and again as he was talking about the mythology of man, and it was just amazing. But the hero's journey, I'm going to summarize for you just so that you can understand that inside of you right now is a masculine energy on journey. Somewhere in this journey. And we go in this journey again and again and again at new levels of awareness, new levels of insight and capacity. But ultimately, the hero's journey, the masculine journey, is about developing our understanding of what we're capable of. We are understanding that we are capable. And so here is the Naughty Shaman version of the hero's journey. So back in the day, there was a village, and there was a young man coming of age, and he had been nestled in his family of origin in the village and doing what was expected and learning the social mores and learning to hunt and learning to make fires and learning to care for the people in his community. And then suddenly, around puberty, the hero gets a yearning in his soul, a calling. And it's uncomfortable because he can tell that it's going to take him out of the normal village life of what's expected of him, away from his family. And so the first step is this refusal, like, oh, I'm not going to go on the calling. Why would I do that? I'm safe here. I'm comfortable here. And so I will stay here. And as I look into the world, there are many people who haven't even gone on journey. They are still nestled in the safety of the beliefs that they have inherited from their culture or from their family, and they have not taken the courage to step outside of the walls of that safe little place and explore who they are. So after the hero refuses the calling, it doesn't go away. It never goes away, right? It gets bigger. And so finally the hero is unable to refuse the call, and he goes and he's like, I love you guys, but I gotta go. He grabs his horse, he grabs his stuff, he grabs a bow and arrow or a shotgun, and off he goes into the world outside the boundaries of what is known. And he's alone on this journey. So out there alone, he discovers, oh my gosh, my mom is not baking me a pie, so I've got to go kill a rabbit. So he's all of a sudden forced to discover his own capacity, that he can make food for himself, that he can nourish himself, that, oh my gosh, my mom's not singing me songs anymore, but I remember them. I can sing songs. I can make up songs. So he learns how to comfort himself, how to care for himself in this wild, wild world. And eventually, in his travels, the hero comes across his greatest enemy, his biggest demon, his inner fears, his horrible transgressions and judgments against his soul. And it's often symbolized in stories with a dragon. So he hears the dragon and he knows he must face this dragon because he can't go forward in his journey until he goes through this dragon's lair. There's no way around it. This is another place where people stop. They sense this quote-unquote darkness inside, or this thing that they've judged about themselves that is so horrible that they have to avoid it at all cost, or they will be incinerated. But the hero goes into the cave with great courage, with everything that he's learned, with the lessons of his family, the lessons of his own life adventures. And he just goes for it, and he does the best he can, and he goes into the cave where it's dark, and he fights the scary dragon, and eventually the hero emerges. He has slain the demons in his soul. He has slain his fears. He has learned that he is capable of feeling pain and coming back. He has learned that he is capable of almost losing or losing a battle, but continuing to fight, to win, to get through, to break through this barrier of his fear or his judgment. Once the dragon is slain, the hero is never the same again. Never the same again. There's an alchemy in his soul that is now shifted. It's a rite of passage into complete maturity. And he is no longer a slave to his fears or judgments, but has learned how to work with them, move through them, and come out of the darkness of the cave into the light. Now, on the other side of that cave, the hero's got a choice. The hero can go on wandering about, a perpetual lone wolf out there, or he can choose to do the extremely courageous thing and go back to the village and risk his village seeing him in his truth, in all of his true capacity and brilliance and strength, and share the gifts of his brave journey with those around him. And so our brave hero decides, after maybe a couple of years or 20 years of wandering, that he's going to go back and rejoin the village and find somebody to love and do the whole 9 yards. And so he goes back into the village and he shares with himself, and he has a moment of terror right before then of, will they accept me? And guess what? In the hero's journey, they do, because what is going to happen with all of the hero's new capacity is when he returns back to the village, whatever that means, to come into the community and offer your gifts. It might not be your family of origin. It might be your new soul family that you've discovered in your adventure. But you take the risk to offer your truth. then everyone around you is elevated in their truth because of your experience, whether they've gone on the hero's journey or not. That you have discovered a new capability, a new way to solve problems, a new way to slay dragons, and you brought those gifts, those diamonds back to the village. They're going to be pumped. They're not going to judge you. They're going to be like, thank you, sweet Jesus, we've been waiting for that. They're going to be stoked. So the hero's journey comes to full maturity and fruition when he has the courage to express and share his gifts with the community. And that's kind of the Naughty Shaman paraphrase of the hero's journey. And there's a lot written about it that you can read. What is not as often written about, though, is the journey of the heroine. So for me, I'm growing up a young woman and I'm thinking, yeah, I got to go slay dragons. I got to go do this. I'm going to go be a hero. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to learn how capable I am. And so because I wasn't sure if I was a strong person, what I ended up cultivating were a series of horrific events in my life based on some bad decision making that I got to prove to myself again and again and again how strong I was. So I went on my hero's journey and rediscovered how strong I was. And there was always something that rang a little not fully true for me with the hero's journey, because there were certain things in my feminine character that couldn't quite jive with it. And it wasn't until I read this book called The Virgin's Promise by Kim Hudson that I was like, oh my gosh, that is it. This is what I've been missing. And in this book, Kim Hudson describes so perfectly and very sweetly in about 212 pages the heroine's journey. So I'm going to give you the Naughty Shaman lowdown on the heroine's journey, because men and women have to go on the heroine's journey as well. And many of you are on this journey in the middle of it. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're in the middle of this. And you're going to recognize parts of it. I promise you, it's so beautiful. So let's go back to the village where the young man grew up. Well, there's a young woman growing up too, and she's about to hit puberty. And so she's living in the village and learning all the things that are necessary as a woman in the village. She's learning how to sweep and how to clean and how to cook and how to care. And she's learning all of these things, how to sew, how to make conversation, how to make people feel warm and comfortable. She's learning to open herself up to life's experiences. She's learning about spirituality, connection with the cosmos. She's learning all these things in her village of origin, the way it is. And then at some point, this young woman kind of comes into her first flowering of selfhood. She hits puberty, and she starts to get a calling in her soul, where she notices that she may not be of the same belief system or the same practices as the village around her. That can be a terrifying moment for any hero or heroine. So the heroine also refuses the call. She's like, no, that would be so dangerous for me to leave my village. Because if I left my village, who would take care of me? Who would protect me? A bear could eat me. I don't know how to shoot a gun. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So this polarity, again, this feminine energy polarity, has to find a different way to go on adventure. So the heroine, because she's taking care of babies and has got the hearth and home to care for, and if she leaves, the whole hearth and home is going to go down. So she can't run off on a horse like the hero. The feminine inside of us does the adventure differently. So what the heroine does when the calling becomes so great that she can't resist it anymore, what the heroine does is she creates a secret life. She creates a secret life, a little secret garden for herself. So maybe she's sneaking out in the middle of the night to read the books that are forbidden in her village. Maybe she runs off in the middle of the afternoon nap time to go make love to who she wants to make love to that's forbidden. Maybe she sneaks off in the morning to go pray how she wants to pray that's different than the village of her origin. But she creates this secret life so that she can nurture what is most sacred in her and have a different experience. And as she explores her secret life, what she discovers is that she is not bound by the mores that she's digested from the dominant culture, that she's not getting struck down by lightning for loving who she wants to love, or in the way she wants to love, or praying in the way she wants to love, or reading and learning what she wants to know and experience. She's not struck down at all. She's actually brought into full maturity. Now, at some point in the heroine's journey, as her secret life is getting rich and full and she's learning and discovering who she really is, she gets caught. The worst, right? She gets caught with the lover. She gets caught with the prayer book. She gets caught shaking a rattle in the air. And her first time she gets caught, often the heroine will choose to go back to the village of origin and recommit to the way it was. She goes, oh, I was drunk. I don't know what I was thinking. Forgive me. I'm back on track. I belong here. Because the safety is so important to her. As a softer, more vulnerable creature to the strong, sharp places in the world, the feminine intuition says, go back where it's safe the first time. And if she has an underdeveloped masculine energy, then she will not feel safe in the world at all and might hide in the mores and in her secret life for a long, long time, which creates a tremendous waste of energy. But the secret life is necessary in the beginning. It's a tool. It's not a lifestyle, but it can be a tool to discover who you are. So the feminine then, after the first time she gets caught, goes back and recommits. I'm going to be a good girl, and oh my gosh, I'm going to ask for forgiveness, and I'm going to do it right this time. I'm going to shave my legs again, and I'm going to let my hair grow long again. I'm going to read the right books and do the right things. I'm going to fit in, and I'm going to be safe. And she recommits to her life of safety. And then those callings never go away, do they? So the calling starts to boil up again, and she cannot deny it. If she's committed to living a soulful life, she's not going to deny it. So then the secret life emerges again, perhaps the same, perhaps differently. And this time she goes for it, and she gets wild, and it gets so big, and her hair's all messy and full of birds' nests, and she's a little bit wilder than the people around her, and they notice it, and they call her on it, and she gets caught again. And this time, if the heroine is brave, she takes a deep breath and stands there, side by side with her lover, stands there, honoring her truth and how she prays, honoring the way she wants to live her life, the way she wants to do with her body. She honors it and claims it as her own. I am. And in this incredible moment, she has made a courageous choice. And what often happens in the heroine's story is that as she stands in her truth without apology, without fighting, without trying to convince anyone that she's right, without trying to be in shame that she's a horrible person, but just stands there in her naked truth, then the village sees the strength in her heart, in her eyes, in her I am, and they begin to elevate their thinking too. This is the heroine's way of bringing back the gifts to the community. The heroine in that moment of getting caught the second time could also make the choice to flee, to fear so greatly being judged and harmed that she runs from the village of origin, to forage for herself off into the secret wilds. And if she comes back to the village to share her truth out loud, to be seen fully, then there is a chance that the entire village around her will elevate. And that's the heroine's journey. So in each of us, I like to think about that we've got an inner warrior god and an inner warrior goddess, both going on journey, often at different times. For me, the feminine journey took flight, and I had little secret lives, and I was doing tarot cards in secret, even though my mom thought I was like some kind of devil. I was doing all sorts of stuff in my secret life, my secret journals. But I never felt safe, so I would constantly go back to pretending that I was just like everybody else, really making efforts, Herculean efforts to be and appear normal, even though I knew inside there was something different about me in my village of origin. And it wasn't until my masculine went on journey, my inner masculine went on journey and went out into the world and went away to school and lived away from home and discovered all new sights and sounds and discovered this way of examining my soul and discovering what I was really capable of, that I am capable of protecting myself. I am capable of taking care of myself, of nourishing myself financially, soulfully, emotionally. And once I had that masculine presence behind me, this warrior inside holding my back, then my feminine was even more free to express herself. I couldn't be here today saying these wild things on a podcast if I didn't have a cultivated, mature masculine energy and a cultivated, mature feminine energy. When they are both mature, then they can get together and create, because we need both polarities to create. Think about the biological process of creation. You need a masculine element, feminine element. You need those two pieces to be healthy and productive. And the masculine needs to know that he is capable, he can do it. And the feminine needs to know, I am. And between these two strong concepts, when they are brought into union together, there is not much that can stop the creative force that allows expression in the world. So these two forces in us are absolutely necessary to cultivate. And if you feel really unsafe in the world and terrified of being alone, then it's likely that your masculine needs to go on journey, that you need to make efforts to slay the demons of your fears and judgments and realize how capable you are, that you are capable of making money and financially supporting yourself, that you are capable of feeding and nourishing yourself, of cooking food, finding food, growing food, that you are capable of comforting yourself and singing songs around the fire. And if you are feeling like a chameleon lost in your life with masks upon masks and maybe fighting depression and maybe fighting a loss of who you are and a really big confusion, then it's likely that your feminine needs to go on journey. You might need to start to dabble in some things, read some books that you wouldn't normally read. Books about sex, books about money, books about love, books about God, books about the soul. You might need to read some of those quote-unquote forbidden texts and experience some of that quote-unquote forbidden fruit, just a taste, not in dangerous amounts, because we want to stay alive and healthy through this process of exploration, but in small doses, so that we can discover who we are for real. Not for fake, not because our village expected it and needed it of us, but because it's who we are. The seeds of our truth were planted in our soul for a reason. There are no accidents. So, getting down to the core of that is the journey of the feminine. And the feminine needs time and space. Free space, alone and safe to do that. So find the safe spaces, my loves. Find the safe people. Find the people who will hold sacred space for you to go on the feminine journey, who will keep your secrets, who will hold you safe, who will caution you against danger, who will remind you that you are held and loved no matter what. Those are safe people for this part of the journey. And recognize that if you've cultivated a secret life, there is an end to that. If the secret life becomes a coping mechanism, then it can become very detrimental to your health, physically, emotionally, mentally, soulfully. It is a tool. It is meant for a short term. And then to reclaim all that you are, at some point in the journey, the feminine must stand naked in her truth. I am this. And see who stays. I guarantee it's going to be way more people than you think. Because when someone is truly standing in their power, we are inspired. We are truly inspired and enamored with them because of the courage it takes. So if you do these two journeys, find safe people, find a safe place to explore these things of what you can do and who you are, then you will be able to create anything you want in this life. So, I love those stories. I'm so grateful for the wise ones who came before us, the Joseph Campbells, the Kim Hudsons, all of the people who have studied these archetypical processes, because without them, my soul would not have flourished. So I'm honoring my teachers, honoring all of my teachers today. And I hope that you enjoyed this little podcast about how you can create by going on journey, both the masculine and the feminine. Men especially need to go on the feminine journey. Men with the secret lives they live forever, that can be dangerous, or never even cultivating any secret life to figure out who they are. Also dangerous. Find out who you are, beautiful men. Beautiful women, find out what you're capable of. Go fight the dragons. All right, my loves. I'll check in with you later. Enjoy your night, and thank you for joining me in Naughty Shaman, where we like to keep the sacred a little wild and totally real. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we are so grateful. Please reach out to us. Let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in our future episodes. Get in touch in the comments because we love to hear from you. And you can reach us on social media.